Well, hello everyone, and welcome back to the Great Ace Attorney Chronicles. It is time to begin the second and final game in this anthology. We finished the first, we've seen all those side missions, so let's select an adventure and choose the sequel, Resolve. So, do I have expectations going into this game? Well, frankly speaking, the first one pretty clearly promised that this was going to be a continuing story. The first Great Ace Attorney very much felt like a part one. And honestly, I think I was told that, yes, it was originally planned that these two games would be just one game, but the scope of it got so large they cut it in two. And actually, even before that point, they planned it as being like a trilogy of 3 games, not 2, so I'm expecting big things. They've consolidated the story down to just 2 games, and it's gonna finish all the plot threads left open by the first, so I'm excited. I'm also really excited to see those 2 strange characters that we glimpsed but never even learned the names of. That man in yellow, who looked like a sailor kinda, and the foppish dandy, you know the one. And there's also Miss Green. I swear Miss Green's gonna come back. She was left alive, not murdered, for a reason, I swear. Anyway, enough prattling on. Let's begin. Oh, we're in Japan. I can tell because of the cicadas. Oh. Who? Oh no. Oh no.
Standing here in the bright sunshine, looking out over the vast ocean. Those days in London seem like a dream. But I do miss my time in England's vast capital. You know, he's flourished into a truly wonderful lawyer. I've no doubt that at this very moment, he's fighting some noble cause in court. Forgive me for taking so long to come to visit you. My life has been such a whirlwind since I returned. And no one could have predicted what has happened. Just 2 months after arriving home.
I find myself faced with another awful crime? Uh-oh. You!
So I came here today to ask something of you. Tomorrow, I shall be standing in court. For the only time in my life. As a lawyer.
Her? Oh, she's dead.
I ask for your guidance. Kazuma-sama.
Oh, we're going places. The adventure of the blossoming attorney. I never suspected for a moment that we would, well, play as Susato. That's amazing. Oh my god, Giselle Brett's dead? Like, good, I'm glad she got what was coming to her. But, wow! Alright, so yeah, Ryunosuke's over in London. Susato has to take care of herself, and speaking of care, I wonder how her father's doing. Wow! Also, one more thing. I'd like to point out that when Susato was, saying, I'm sure Ryunosuke is fighting some noble cause in court at this very moment, well, due to time zones, I'm pretty sure he's asleep at night, so. Here I am again after 9 months. The Supreme Court of Judicature of Japan. I feel so nervous. but I must steel my nerves and find a way to compose myself. Hey! Well, I guess that answers that question. He looks hale and hearty. Ah, good, you're here. Doesn't do for a lawyer to be late.
Oh, yes, good morning, sir.
I hardly recognize you. You cut a fine figure, Counsel. But you look as white as a sheet, and those wide eyes aren't doing you any favors either.
Oh, dear. The truth is, I'm so incredibly nervous I feel utterly nauseated. I almost wish that I'd never been born.
Goodness. Not the sort of thing a father hopes to hear from his daughter, I must say.
Yujin Mikotoba, professor of medicine at the Imperial Yume University. A man who, earlier in his life, traveled to Great Britain to study the latest advances in forensic medical science. And, of course, my brilliant father.
Excuse me? Oh, that must be the defendant.
Would I be correct in thinking that you're to be my lawyer in court today? Yes. Yes, that's right, miss. Well, I want to thank you for agreeing to represent me. I swear on my life. It's a complete fabrication, this whole thing.
I dig the color scheme of her clothes.
Ray Membami, born the same year as I, and my greatest friend.
Whoa! Alright.
Though unusual for a woman in our time, she works at the university research laboratory, helping my father. And sadly, she's the defendant in today's trial. Accused of committing a truly awful murder.
Oh, this has to be tied to the murder of John Wilson. John H. Wilson, at that. After all, Giselle Brett was the woman who killed John Wilson, and now she's dead. And this student at the school that John Wilson taught at is involved in this somehow?
Are you feeling alright? Since we started talking, you seem, well, to have become a little flushed. Oh my, it's just that. You look so gallant and dashing. Sorry? And when I fall under your intense gaze, it makes me feel rather bashful.
Ooh.
Goodness, I don't think she knows. She hasn't realized who I am.
It would seem our little plan for this trial is going to work.
Oh, what do you mean, Professor Mikotoba?
If even your best friend can't see through the disguise, I think we can relax.
Disguise? Yes, I've never tried dressing this way before, of course, so I wasn't sure how convincing it would be. But this does make me feel a little relieved, as you say, Father.
Dressing as what?
Father? What? Is that you, Susato? I'm so sorry I didn't say something sooner, Ray. No, what are you doing? What's going on? What? That varsity uniform, that varsity cap, that varsity cape, that varsity badge.
She's disguised herself as Ryunosuke.
Look at you. You look for all the world just like a student at the Imperial Yume University. A male student.
Oh, so I guess Susato's pulling the masculine voice here, huh?
I'm so glad you think so. It means all my preparations have been worthwhile. I woke at 4 this morning to make a start. But I don't understand. Why are you dressed like that? Well, you see,
It was the only way. The only way she would be permitted into the Supreme Court to take on your defense in this trial.
My defense? Never before in my life have I felt so frustrated at having been born into this body. Courts in Japan are barred to women. We're not even allowed to set foot inside the courtroom. Despite the fact that the laws of the land apply to all people, male and female alike. But women are forbidden. Just for today, I'll be leaving my true self at the courtroom door, so that I can act as your lawyer. Oh, Susato, you'd go to such lengths for me? Of course, you're my greatest friend. I just worry that I shan't be the lawyer you deserve. Oh no, I have complete faith in you. Ray. It's so strange, though. I mean, you're such an accomplished judicial assistant already. And yet, just because you're a woman, what a wretched reason. I mean, why shouldn't you be allowed in court? You're so gallant and dashing. Ray, please don't look at me like that with those flushed cheeks and doting eyes. Oh, I'm sorry, it's just, you really do look so dashing.
What is going on?
Yes, you mentioned that once or twice.
You should be pleased. It means you look convincing as a man.
I am pleased, I think. It's certainly helped to bolster my confidence today. Ray, you're managing to put on a brave face in all this, but I can see through it. I've noticed how your shoulders are slumped and how you're trembling ever so slightly. Susato, you do believe me, don't you? I didn't do it. I couldn't have. I mean, murder. Of course. You have nothing to worry about. Your conscience is perfectly clean. Isn't that right? Yes it is. Perfectly clean.
I just realized what her color scheme is. I remembered what it reminds me of. She's dressed like Wario. The yellow and purple and light blue. Yeah.
I have absolutely no doubt in my mind about your innocence, which is why I'll stand by you until the bitter end in this trial. Whatever happens, I'll always be on your side. Because that's what it means to be a defense lawyer. That means so much to me, Susato.
Defendant, counsel. Court is about to begin. Proceed to the courtroom at once. You should go in at once, Ray. If you're late, the judge won't hesitate to pronounce you guilty.
Oh, stand aside! I don't think I've ever seen her run so fast.
Well, Susato, you've certainly surprised your father. Going to such lengths to be admitted into the courtroom and with no prior experience of being a lawyer.
There was simply no other way. That's all there is to it. But, Father, you haven't told her, have you? I mean, I'm right in assuming that Ray doesn't know how it came to this.
Yes, quite right. I've kept that information from her. It would only worry her if she found out that no other lawyer would agree to take her case. I didn't want to burden her with that.
And is it true? The reason why every other lawyer is refusing to take the case? Is it really because of who the victim was?
We should be making a move now, too. As you know, law isn't my field, but I'll do what I can to support my student.
Thank you, Father.
Yeah, this would be another international incident, wouldn't it?
I'm Susato Mikitoba, a judicial assistant. 8 months ago, I accompanied a student of law on a study trip to Great Britain. But 2 months ago, due to unforeseen circumstances, I found myself back in Japan.
Okay, that's not canon. He didn't wear that costume just yet.
How many times have I wished that he were here, I wonder? Still, I have no choice now but to steel myself for the trial ahead. Wish me luck, Naruhodo-san.
This is gonna be good. I bet the I'm kind of hoping that oh my god, yeah. I'm hoping the prosecution is ouchy again. 'Cause last time he was simping so hard for the ladies, and look, it's pretty inevitable that Susato will be unmasked and the truth will come out at some point. Oh, the interaction's gonna be spectacular.
Yeah! His hair is still down. Oh, Kazuma cut his hair and his hair is still messed up. Oh my god! Oh my god, okay.
This court is now in session to hear the trial of Rei Mimbami. Mimbami, yeah.
The prosecution is fully ready to proceed, Your Excellency.
I dig the lilac color. That's so cool. Defense counsel, are you ready? Yes, Your Excellency, we are ready.
Ready.
Yes, counsel. According to your registration details, your name is, Ryutaro Naruhodo. Is that correct?
Sorry?
Oh, yes, I had to come up with a suitable male name for you in this little venture. So I'm afraid to say I simply put down the first name that sprung to mind. Well, counsel?
Yes, that's right. That's me. Yes, I am Ryutaro, he who has vowed to uphold the pride of the great Naruhodo clan.
It seems Ryutaro may need to consider how better to uphold his manly act first and not overdo it. And those wild wide eyes aren't doing you any favors either. Just relax and listen.
Naruhodo. A fresh face in this courtroom, if I'm not mistaken. But the name Naruhodo, would that perchance be...
You may be thinking of Ryunosuke Naruhodo, currently in Britain as part of a study program. This is,
his cousin.
That's right. Ryutaro here has been studying in the provinces, but was called to the capital for this trial. I assure you, in matters of law, his knowledge rivals that of any Tokyo's preeminent lawyers.
Any of them? Tut, tut, tut. What a pitiful situation. Having been rejected by every lawyer in the capital, the accused has had to call in a country boy. How dare you! Susato is every bit as gallant and dashing as any of your Tokyo attorneys. I won't have you making fun of her. Her? Oh, Please be careful, Rei. What an unrefined tomboy we have here. But I wonder, is your gallant and dashing lawyer up to the challenge of defending you? His wide, skittish eyes very much suggest that he is not. Oh, I'm so nervous. Now that I'm standing in his shoes, I'm starting to understand what Naruhodo-san goes through. Like it or not, eyes are wont to flit.
This is great. The case to be heard on this day is a matter of great significance to our national interests. In fact, it would be reasonable to assume that the outcome of this trial may well affect the very future of our empire.
Just like the trial 9 months ago. And yet, for proceedings of such importance, we have this unknown yokel by the dock. Dear me.
Perhaps this would be an appropriate moment for me to assess the defense, to determine whether you are sufficiently competent to practice in this courtroom. 9 months ago, when a certain other Naruhodo stood where you're standing now, this same judge tested him as well. And even though he was just a student at the time, not even of law, he passed the test with flying colors. For a trained and experienced judicial assistant like you, this will be easy. So, counsel, do you consent to answering some simple questions?
All right, it's time to prove myself. Yeah! Yes, Your Excellency, but please do make them simple.
Very well. To start with, you will state the name of the victim.
Phew, that is simple. I couldn't forget that if I tried.
What's the matter?
Now that I'm standing in his shoes, I'm starting to understand something else Naruhodo-san goes through. Like it or not, minds want to blank.
It's not surprising, really. It's your first time in this position and in that guise. Even a bright spark like you is bound to flicker and falter a little under the circumstances.
Oh dear, this is a dismal failure.
Don't fret. You need only use the knowledge you've gained as a judicial assistant to overcome the problem.
Of course, the court record. Yes, the answer will be amongst all the key information about the case in the court record.
That's right. Just use the right bumper to open the court record. Then you need to flip to the people section with the right bumper. And don't take too long over it. His Excellency is watching you closely.
All right, check the court record with right bumper. That's where the information I need will be.
Let's do that. Oh, we have the autopsy. Time of death just after 2 p.m. Death is believed to be due to trauma to the victim's lung from a knife blade. Only a single wound was identified. Witness statements, huh? Let's see. Death within minutes. Extreme meiosis, pupil constriction, was observed in the victim in both eyes. Oh. Huh. Well, someone got to look at her eyes, but not us. Yujin Mikotoba. Yes. Ray. Sure, Giselle Brett. 9 months ago, she was found guilty of the murder of visiting professor Dr. John Wilson, but was never punished for it. I'm waiting, counsel. What is the name of the victim in this case?
Yes!
The name of the victim who lost her life in this case is Miss Giselle Brett. Giselle Brett.
A name that will never be forgotten in the courtrooms of our country, I'm sure. Correct. And being a member of our empire's judiciary, you will be well aware of the significance of that name. So, let me pose another simple question. As you know, Miss Brett was a visiting student from the Empire of Great Britain. Why then is her name indelibly associated with our own empire's judicial history? Obviously, you won't have forgotten that case from 9 months ago. But if it's proving hard to recall the finer points, everything you need is included in the court record.
Obviously, I still remember. That was the start of everything. Giselle Brett, behind the woman's student persona, was the face of a killer.
Yes!
9 months ago, a visiting professor of medicine at the Imperial Yume University was killed. And the culprit was Giselle Brett.
Yes, she was a killer. At the time, our country had just signed a new treaty with the Empire of Great Britain, and it was in the midst of this delicate diplomatic situation that the incident occurred. An Englishman, Dr. John H. Wilson, was shot dead. I believe he was an associate of yours, Professor McToba. Oh, I have no idea who's speaking then. Hold on. Yes, I was indebted to the man. He'd been my mentor when I went to London to study forensics medicine. Indeed, it was I who invited him here to Japan as a visiting professor at the university. Naturally, the murder of an Englishman on our soil was a matter of the government wished to resolve rapidly. Indeed it was, which is why a secret trial was conducted here at the Supreme Court. A student of the Imperial Yume University was arrested on suspicion of murder. A second-year English language student by the name of Ryutaro Naruhodo. With the help of his best friend, a student lawyer, the accused conducted his own defense and exposed the despicable crime committed by Miss Giselle Brett. Miss Brett eventually admitted to her crime. However, when questioned about the motive that drove her to take Dr. Wilson's life, she gave no satisfactory answer before the trial reached its conclusion.
Immediately after the trial, the British government brought its consular jurisdiction into play. We were unable to sentence Miss Brett according to our empire's laws. It was decided that she would be removed to Shanghai, China, instead. Why Shanghai?
There's a British consular court there. Correct. I oversaw the negotiations personally. The date of her transfer to Shanghai was finally settled upon only last week. All that remained of our empire's obligations was to see the woman safely on board a steamship.
And yet, the very day before her departure, the Englishwoman was killed. Wow. Only the day before?
That will do. I'm satisfied that the counsel for the defense is sufficiently capable of representing the defendant.
Oh. Thank you, Your Excellency. Over the first hurdle.
Now, a summary of the incident, if you please. Prosecutor Ouchie.
As is your wish, Your Excellency. The repugnant crime took place on the 11th of August, in broad daylight. Ooh, a beach. Yeah, I thought the ground was sand. On the outskirts of the imperial capital, under a bright blue sky, at a secluded bathing spot by the sea. The incident occurred inside a small beach hut erected for bathers to rest or change their clothes. The cause of death was a single stab wound to the posterior abdomen that pierced the victim's lung. To the back? She's holding a pen. Interesting. An injury which proved fatal. There were two persons alone together on the beach hut at the time of the victim's death. Miss Brett in her bathing attire, and the accused, Ray Membami. Accordingly, there can be no doubt of the accused's guilt, especially when we consider she had a powerful motive. The police arrived rapidly at the scene and promptly arrested the young lady.
Well, that extraordinary description of events leaves me somewhat lost for words, I must say.
That's certainly true. The prosecution's summary was full of words that raise an awful lot of questions. As a lawyer, I really ought to pick up the prosecution counsel and what he said about
the motive.
You're clearly exaggerating. Powerful motive is a blatant overstatement.
Tut tut tut. Is the Yodel boy using long words he doesn't fully understand?
I beg your pardon?
No matter. Let us put this to the accused, shall we? Mbami-san, you are a research assistant at the Imperial Yume University, I believe.
Yes, I am. I'm working with Professor Mikotoba in his laboratory at the moment.
I can confirm that. The defendant is an excellent assistant with a strong sense of responsibility.
Fascinating to hear. Now, another question. Prior to your work with Professor Mikotoba, whose research were you assisting then?
I was studying under Dr. John H. Wilson.
Dr. Wilson? The visiting English professor who was murdered by Miss Brett 9 months ago. Oh boy.
The accused had a deep-seated respect for her former mentor, Dr. Wilson. Is that not true?
Yes, Dr. Wilson was a wonderful man.
Interesting. Then tell the court what deep-seated feelings you had towards the Englishwoman who killed him.
Well, obviously I was filled with hatred for what she'd done. A powerful hatred. Oh no. Ray, be careful what you're saying.
The motive was revenge. Plain and simple, Your Excellency.
Well, it was clearly a trap all along.
How wicked of him to use Ray's undying respect for her former mentor against her like that. I must find out more details, and something we can use to bolster our defense. As a lawyer, I really ought to pick up the prosecution counsel on what he said about...
Yeah, being alone together.
Mbami-san.
I don't know why I keep getting torn up on this name. It's so difficult.
Yes, what is it, Naruhodo-san?
I'm really starting to wish... Oh. Oh man, I'm losing focus here. I'm getting flustered by the name I can't master.
I'm really starting to wish we'd made in my alias Ryutaro Susa.
Language is hard. Speaking with my mouth is hard.
Please tell the court why exactly you were present at the bathing spot with the victim in the first place. And why you were alone with her. Oh, well, no, that's not true. It wasn't like that at all. There were other people present. A detective who was guarding Miss Brett, for starters. I was just asked to accompany Miss Brett as a companion, that's all.
But let us be clear. At the moment of her death, you were alone together with the victim in the hut. You and no one else. The truth is, there is only one reason why this young woman accompanied Miss Brett on her bathing sojourn. It was the accused's last chance to take the victim's life.
No.
Because, as we know, The following day would see Miss Brett extradited to the British authorities in Shanghai. And the accused would never have an opportunity to dispatch her again.
Kindly refrain from conjecture, Counsel. The prosecution counsel seems to enjoy using provocative tricks like that. But for now, at least, we need to assemble more facts. Try not to let him goad you.
Oh dear, this is really terrifying, but Father is right. We need more information. As a lawyer, I really ought to pick up the prosecution counsel and what he said about...
See, I artfully selected the exact wrong answers because I intuited right away that the bathing spot was the correct one. See, I'm going for completionism and I want to see all the dialogue. Absolutely.
If I may, Prosecutor Ouchie.
What do you want, you fresh-faced young yokel student?
I wonder, could you explain, please? You mentioned a bathing spot.
My apologies. Clearly my modernity has confused the poor country bumpkin's simple mind. Bathing spots are the very latest trend in health practices from the West. We are told that bathing in the water of the ocean is curative, therapeutic, and excellent for the skins.
No, that's not what I meant. I was referring to the fact that Miss Brett had, to all intents and purposes, been found guilty of murder. Why would a known criminal have been relaxing by the sea?
For old time's sake, I believe.
Sorry?
Miss Brett was to depart for Shanghai the following day. Her final wish, as it were, was to enjoy a day at our country's wonderful coast. And the British Embassy put extreme pressure on our government to comply.
But on what grounds would we agree to such a request?
Because, as usual, our government is unable to stand up to foreign powers. In matters of diplomacy, it seems we don't even have the courage to decline the whims of a known criminal.
Don't look at me, Professor. It was the government who granted permission, not I. In any case, it was decided that with a dedicated detective on duty, nothing could go wrong.
Please be Hosonaga.
But, in fact, a murder took place.
I said, don't look at me. It was the young student girl who did it, not I.
No one has proved that yet.
I wouldn't provoke the man if you don't need to. I believe we all have a clear picture of the incident now. Despite her guilt being determined 9 months ago, Miss Brett managed to avoid incarceration, instead continuing her research work at the university. Obviously, over that period, she and Ray would have encountered each other on a number of occasions.
Seeing the murderer of the mentor for whom she had such great respect enjoying such undeserved liberty.
Yes, even it was only temporary until Miss Brett's extradition to Shanghai. You can hardly blame Ray for her feelings of anger and resentment.
Poor Ray.
So, Your Excellency, if you'd be so kind as to peruse this exhibit. A photographic print that shows the scene of the crime immediately following the grim incident.
Yes, thank you, Counsel. A tragic image.
So we got her fancy dress and purse. Gotta remember that purse. On the stand. A bottle knocked off of the table. A pen in her hand, yet no discernible parchment with which to write upon. A spilled glass. Her mask and geez, wasn't that goose alive? That swan, rather? Is it dead still?
As you can clearly see, there is nowhere within the hut that anyone else could have hidden.
The court will accept this photographic print as evidence. As I understand it then, the victim and the defendant were alone inside the beach hut at the time. This is deeply troubling, I must say. The finger of guilt points firmly at the defendant.
Well, Your Excellency, naturally the prosecution has much more to its case. We intend to prove the accused's appalling actions beyond all possible contention. To that end, I can confirm that we have multiple witnesses to the crime and damning evidence.
Witnesses? But who?
One of whom, I might add, is a highly respected police detective. I assure you, the testimony of these witnesses will leave no room for doubt.
Ugh.
Very well then, counsel. Bring forth your witnesses.
I, Takatsuchi Aochi, have been waiting for this moment.
Sorry?
Oh yes, I haven't forgotten that trial 9 months ago, here in this very courthouse, when that irreverent little student boy utterly humiliated me. Ah, Ryunosuke Naruhodo.
Oh, yes? Oh, this is so not canon. I regret putting this costume on.
This insult to the Aochi family name will never be forgotten.
You've become conceited with age, counsel. But the old have to stand aside and make way for the new. It's the way of the world. May you never forget that.
Strike the head of a samurai whose top knot has been cut and the bell of cultural enlightenment tolls. Yes, on that fateful day, my former self died.
The start of your own mini Meiji revolution. Are you modernizing as well, counsel?
Silence. Since I swore revenge back then, there has been a minor miracle atop my head. Observe the ouchy growth.
Don't take that out of context.
You see this seed of hope sprouting forth from the barren expanse of my crown?
I think that tiny growth is trying to tell me something. I'm afraid I can't really see. Where is the hope exactly?
I said silence. Today, I face another yokel student of the Naruhodo clan. Well, I will vanquish you. And my victory will be the fertilizer for the seed of hope atop my head. You have been warned. With that, the prosecution calls the witnesses to the stand.
It looks like the stakes are high on both sides in this trial. The prosecution and defense each has much to lose.
A haircut is hardly comparable to Rei's life.
No. Older gents have a common understanding.
Yeah!
That first yeah was me seeing Hosonaga, and what followed after was me seeing that beautiful human disaster. Loving the pinstripe suit, by the way. Oh my goodness. Oh, wow. Oh my god. Oh, wow. Oh, I am losing my shit. Ah!
Witnesses, please state your names and occupations for the court.
Chief Inspector Satoru Hosonaga, Imperial Police Bureau. I just noticed his little turtle friend. I'm in disguise, obviously, so I can go undetected. That is the most conspicuous headpiece I've ever seen. And we're in the case about a woman who with a swan on her head. And I am, well, the next big thing in books, an author renowned throughout the capital, in fact, yes. Soon to be sold out, the satirical I Am a Cat, a sensational success by Soseki Natsume. And he's got paparazzi, who has a conspicuous ink stain on his wrist. Oh, that ink stain is absolutely tied to Giselle's pen in her hand. What the hell? Oh my goodness! Struggling student from the provinces, please, you needn't be in awe of me. I needn't? It's only natural that you'd feel nervous in my presence, but all of you, please relax, call me Soseki even. Yes. What on earth is Soseki-san doing here? Tread carefully, Susato. That author fellow knows you from your time in London, doesn't he? If he exposes you for who you really are, this will be over before it's begun. Yes, of course, I know. I presume Soseki-san won't have forgotten about me. I could certainly never forget him. Although he does seem to have changed somewhat in the 6 months or so that it's been since I last saw him. And as for Inspector Hosonaga, that amazing outfit is hard to believe. Do I have something on my face? Well, your glasses for one, although they don't seem to be helping you see. Thank goodness he hasn't recognized me either. Ah, I suppose it's this disguise, is it? I thought that appearing here in the clothes I was wearing at the time would make for a more faithful testimony. It is my guiding principle to carry out all testimonies flawlessly. Well, I can appreciate why an Imperial Police Bureau detective might have been present. But what business did a writer such as yourself have been at the scene, Soseki-san? Well, you see, I had been asked that day to give a lecture. On the morning of the incident in the Imperial Yume University's Grand Lecture Hall, no less. At Yume University. After the lecture, I had a very pleasant conversation with a researcher from the Medical Science Department. The professor over there, in fact. With Professor Mikotoba. Yes, that's right. It was arranged by one of the newspapers. They wanted some story or other about 2 former students who'd studied in Great Britain. Of course, being a renowned author, the press never leave me alone. They secretly spy, snapshot, scribble stories, and scupper my privacy. As you can see, the conversation was written up in this newspaper here. Read it at your leisure, my provincial struggling student friend. I have plenty of copies. Thank you very much. He practically threw that paper at me. Sorry, he practically threw that paper at me. Let's read that right now, shall we? Oh, new kitty. Neat. Meow. A newspaper containing an article about the discussion between my father and Soseki-san. The debate became quite spirited. Wait a second. The lens is cracked. Interesting.
Anyway, following my interview with the professor, the lady in question appeared and made a very unexpected announcement. I should like to go with everyone to see your country's coast. Those were her words.
As I explained before, Miss Brett was never taken into custody. She continued to work in my laboratory under strict surveillance, of course.
At which utterance, the university immediately contacted the government to seek guidance. And the response was, permit Miss Brett to go as long as a detective accompanies her.
That detective I am at liberty to divulge was me, Chief Inspector Satoru Hosonaga. Was he always chief? Did he get promoted?
Thereby, the entire party departed cordially for the seaside, it seems.
It was extremely challenging to clear all other members of the public from the vicinity of the beach. But fortunately, I am at peak physical fitness at the moment, so... He says as he coughs blood again. I was able to carry out my duty flawlessly.
Oh my, Inspector, you... Well, you do have something on your face now.
How unsightly. I do apologize.
Does that mean that you went to the beach too, Father?
No. Fortunately, I had work to finish off. But unfortunately, of course, it meant that, as my assistant, Ray was invited to take my place.
Of course, being a renowned author, I didn't like to decline the invitation. But if only I had, I'd never have seen that awful sight. Relentlessly racked by remorse and regret.
Very well. I must now ask you to present your formal testimony to the court. You will give an account of all you witnessed on your impromptu excursion to the coast.
Of course, Your Excellency. Relentlessly racked by remorse and regret I am.
Alright, yeah, this is a good place to end things. Well, wow! They are coming out the gate swinging for the fences. This is a home run. Playable Susato as a defense attorney. The return of my fan favorite Hosonaga and Sosuke Natsume. And Ouchie. And Giselle Brett. Oh my god. This is like a love letter to anyone who played the first game. Wow! I'm in love. This is the best. What else is there to say? This is the best. So already we have plenty of clues. The ink on the hand and the pen in Giselle's hand. The cracked lens that took the photo of the meeting between Professor Mikotoba and Sosuke. There is already a lot going on. So, pretty sure that the only person who could have done it was the paparazzi in the background. Because ain't no way that Ray did it. No way that Hosonaga did it. No way that Natsume did it. Who else could it be? It has to be someone in this courtroom right now. I mean, if there were more witnesses, then there'd just be 3 people at the stand, now wouldn't there? There's only one person it could have been. Unless they're really gonna get weird with this and make it one of these 2 fine gentlemen on the stand right now, but I hope that's not the case. That would make me really sad. I like these two a lot. Man, and I can't wait to see what's going on in London. What has Ryunosuke been up to? What has Herlock Sholmes been up to, and Iris? And, well, is what's her face, the diver? What is her name? Blonde in the green cap? Agnes? No. Wow, I legit forget her name. I am completely blanking. Abigail? No. Some things it's in one end, out the other with my head, you know? I am awful. Like, genuinely awful at names, especially in real life. I cannot tell you the names of any member of my extended family. I know my mother and father, and that's it. I cannot tell you their names. Although, frankly, I'm not particularly close with any of them. Mostly a holiday get-together sort of situation with my extended family. But, yeah, enough about me. This game's great. I'm already hyped. The sequel game's starting out strong! And I cannot wait to see where it goes. I'm Zephyr the Jester. This has been more of the Great Ace Attorney Chronicles. Thank you for watching. Hopefully, I'll catch you next time. So until then, please take care.